But so what I want to do right now is I want to go over some things that I've learned in the last 100 days of checking in on my progress and just trying to be, hey, stop. Just trying to be more disciplined. Okay. Just trying to keep track of everything, make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to become a millionaire. And I don't know what it is. If I knew what I needed to do, then I would already be there, but I don't. And I'm trying to figure it out. But some of the habits that I've built over the last 100 days that I want to continue to carry on and add to. Okay, so we're going to run through those. These habits, I can 100% assure you, have made my life easier and have made it feel like I'm getting closer to my goal. I think I'm still a long ways away, but I think I'm getting closer. Okay, so these are some 6, 7. So these are 7 habits that I've developed over the last 100 days that I believe will get me closer to my goal of becoming a millionaire. The first habit is reading. As you see in the daily check-in videos, I sit down right here on this desk here and I read a little bit from whatever book I'm reading. Right now, the book is Measure What Matters by John Doerr. I've listened to this book, but I have not actually read it. And one thing I'm trying to do is go back through all of the good books that I listened to. I listened to like 100 books in 2020. I think I only made it to 94. My goal was 100 in 2020. And now I'm going through and buying the hardbacks of every book out of those 100 that I really liked, and going through and making notes and actually studying them a little bit more. So reading has been a big one for me. There's so much that I've learned in the different books. You know, from different books, you hear the stories from different people, you get concepts, you get ideas, and it's not like one thing I've learned from that is that certain things reach out to you when you're ready for them. Like when I first read a book, I pick up different ideas and different concepts, but when I read it a second time, I'm like more prone to absorb other ideas. And so I hate reading too. I was talking to somebody about this a couple nights ago. She's like, yeah, I don't like reading. I'm like, me either. I really hate it. It's not something I'm like, oh wow, I can't wait to read. But I can draw like a fine line of how my life had just drastically improved after that year of listening to 100 books. Like doing that, learning those stories, learning those ideas, learning those concepts, my life changed completely. And that was just listening, which I feel like you only absorb 30 or 40% of like the material versus actually reading. So like after that, I was like, I'm hooked. I don't like reading, but I think it's the best thing I can do for myself. So I've always tried to make time for that. And in the last 100 days of checking in and doing that, I've sat down almost every morning and read just a little bit of a book, whether it's just a couple pages, maybe it's a whole chapter. As long as I do that consistently each day, I'm finishing books and I'm getting ideas and I'm learning new things. So that was one habit that I think was super important. The second habit is setting my daily tasks. Now, what this has looked like has changed overall, or has changed a few times over the last 100 days, but no matter what, I'm always checking in each day to make sure that I know a few things that I need to work on. I branded it now like a future millionaire planner. This just came in the mail. But before I started doing all of this, I've had a checklist very similar, and it has a page very similar to this page, this to-do page. And it just has like my main objective. It has different tasks that I need to do for each of the different sections of the stuff that I'm working on. And I sit down every morning and I write down what those tasks are. Like Jordan Peterson says, if you could script the perfect day, what would that look like? He's like, when people say, no, I don't want to make a schedule, I don't like to be controlled or whatever, he's like, you just make the damn schedule, but make it, if tomorrow was the best day ever, if tomorrow was the perfect day, what would that look like? And obviously you need to be disciplined with it, but by planning it out, it's like, I just sit down and I'm like, okay, well, if I was able to get everything done that I feel like I need to get done that would make my life better and get me closer to becoming a millionaire, what are those things? And so then I'd list them out. And what I've learned over the last 100 days is that I don't always get every single thing done. Actually, very rarely I get every single thing done. I get a handful done and a handful move on to the next day, and I add more on to the next day. And like, I just move through it that way, and I get as much done as I possibly can. But if I'm not checking off, like if I'm checking off everything on my list and then sitting around for half the day, I'm probably not putting enough on my list. So there are limitations. It's like 2 to 3 tasks for each category, but some of them take up way more time. And anyway, I've just tried my best to make sure that I'm writing down my daily tasks every single day and that I'm getting as much of it done as possible. It's also important to stay gracious with yourself. If you guys are doing your daily tasks and you're checking in and you want to keep track or you want to follow along like me, this planner is available on the website. It's the same one I've been using. I just branded it and made it a little bit more general for the public, so that if you guys have it. I used to do online to-do lists. I used to do a bunch of different things, and then having something like this, I just created it, have been using it for the last like 6 months or so, and it's really helped align everything. That's been a huge one for me. Number 3 is finishing before bed. And that sounds kind of weird. That's not what I mean finishing everything before I go to bed. It is very tempting to just go to bed and leave some of your tasks unfinished and say, hey, I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll get that, I'll do that tomorrow. Don't worry about it. And I've tried that over the last 100 days. I've definitely done that. And what I learned is that just sets me up farther behind the next day. What it is better to do, in my experience, what has been better for me to do over the last 100 days is recognize that, say, look, I'm feeling lazy, I'm tired, I don't feel like finishing this project, but I've already started on it, I've already been working on it, and it'd be doing myself a disservice if I don't finish it, because by not finishing it tonight, maybe I'm getting an extra half hour of sleep, but I'm pushing back everything that I'm trying to work on the following day, and I'm just putting myself more behind. And so what I've had to start doing is losing that extra sleep and pushing through it when I'm tired and making sure that I get whatever task done. Like these daily check-in videos, sometimes I'm waiting on the video to export or to upload to YouTube, and I'm like, dude, I cannot stay awake. I'm so tired. And what happens is if I go to sleep and I go to finish everything in the morning, now I'm behind on setting my objectives for the day, and I'm behind on reading, and I'm behind on everything else, because that first block of my morning time now goes to this, which should have been done yesterday. And I think there's a deeper principle there of just like finishing what you start and not procrastinating. It's hard when you're super tired and you don't want to go through it, but it's like, it really sets yourself up for failure. It really pushes you behind when you say, well, I can finish this tomorrow. Like, of course you can. But by doing that, you're saying no to other things. And I've had that happen a couple times in the last 100 days, and I've definitely learned from it. And so now it's like, no matter what, I'm finishing whatever I do, whatever I start, I'm finishing that night before I go to bed, so that I can start fresh the next day, and I can start with new tasks and not feel like I drug the previous day over to the next day. The fourth thing is just narrowing it down to one objective. The previous versions of this planner were more of like more brand specific. So I have like 3 different YouTube channels. I have a different website that I'm working on, just trying to grow just the website. Like I have different areas, and the areas of my tasks would be broken down that way. Like it would be tasks for YouTube channel 1, YouTube channel 2, YouTube channel 3, phone calls, daily chores, miscellaneous tasks, and it would be separated that way. And what I learned actually fairly recently is that I'm trying to juggle too much. What I do with that old structure is I would sit down, and someday I would work on this project for this brand, and then another day I'd work on another project for the other brand, and then I'd move back to that first one, then I'd skip to a third one, and I'm just leaving all my projects unfinished. It's like, this one's halfway finished, this one's just a little bit started, and it is so hard to move on if you're just continuously opening up new projects, because nothing's actually getting done. And that's exactly where I was. I still have a backlog of stuff that I've started that I haven't finished, and it's getting frustrating and it's stressing me out. And what I did about a week and a half ago is change it to one objective per month. And no matter what, that's my hyper focus of the month. That one thing is what I'm focusing on, and everything else will get done eventually, but I'm not trying to juggle anymore. I just cut it down, one core focus for the month, and I make it a goal that I can achieve within the month. It's not like a year-long goal that I'm trying to get done in a month. It's like, it's a monthly goal that I think I can get done in a month. and that I'm going to work towards. And so that's like the biggest thing there, is switching from juggling 3 different things to just one objective and zoning in on that objective completely. The next thing I learned is the weekly check-ins. So like I said, every day I do a daily check-in where I make sure that my tasks that I'm doing for the day are written down and that I know that that's what I'm working on. But it's become a really good habit of mine. I'll go to Chop Shop, which is a place downtown that I really like, and I'll get an acai bowl and I'll just sit there for an hour. I'll go through my Monday checklist and I'll do like a prioritize and planning session. And that's something I started years ago, but I'll look at, like, I just ask myself questions and I have spots where I write it down. It's like, what am I working on? What projects? So I'll write down my projects, and then I'm like, okay, well, what project is bringing in the most income? And I'm like, okay, well, it's probably this one from the affiliate money. So I'll write it down. Then it's like, how can I scale that, or how can I duplicate that, or how can I expand it? And so it just gets me thinking about different things that I'm doing and working on. And those weekly check-ins have been really important, because I can, throughout the week, every single day, you have different ideas pop into your head. You have different things that you're thinking about, and you're like, oh, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can do that. And my brain just jumps on it and I start working on those things. And when I do these weekly sessions, I look at everything. I'm like, hey, that's a cool idea, but like, that's not the priority. This is making the most money. This is the most scalable. Let's refocus on that. Let's work on that. And I believe if I didn't do these planning sessions, it would be really hard to zone in on the other things. And like, I would get really distracted. I still get distracted, but these kind of bring me back to focus. And so, yeah, doing weekly check-ins on my goals, on my tasks, on my projects has been a really beneficial habit for me. The 6th one is eating 1 meal a day. When I was going back through the 100 days of like the daily check-ins, I noticed when I was eating 3 meals a day, my grocery bill was just way more. Like, I was going every other day, probably, and spending maybe every 2 to 3 days, and spending like $30 to $50 on groceries. And so I'm at $150 a week maybe. And it was simple. Like, I was eating chicken, broccoli, potato, same thing I'm eating now, but I was eating a lot more of it. And now I'd say maybe it's been a month that I've cut down to 1 meal a day. I'm shedding off a lot of weight. I look a lot more toned. I'm still working out, and I don't want to get super skinny. Like, I do want to have muscle mass. But I feel a lot better, and really essentially I just fast until like 2-3 p.m. I eat one big meal, and then I'm not hungry for the rest of the day. It took a week or so to get there, but that's one habit that I've formed over the last 30 days or so that I'm thinking is going to have a good impact. Where are you going? A good impact on what I'm doing and what I'm building. Like, so far it's saving me a lot of money. I'm spending less time eating. I'm spending less time worrying about shit like that. I'm spending less time cooking. I'm spending less time cleaning up. So it may seem just like a really small thing, but you wake up in the morning, you cook breakfast, you got to do the dishes, you got to make the food, you got to put the food together, you do the same thing at lunch, you do the same thing at dinner. That's like 3 times throughout the day that you're potentially spending an hour and a half. Over a year, that compounds to like hundreds of hours. And if it's not actually necessary, you can buy that time back and spend it on other things. And that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. The 1 meal a day thing wasn't necessarily to save time or to save money. It was really just like, well, I could probably just shed off some weight. And if it helps me focus better, then, sure thing. It doesn't help me focus better. Before I've eaten, I'm stupid. Like, my mornings are tough as hell. But after that, I do really good. The last thing here, the last habit thing that I've observed over the last 100 days is delegating the bottlenecks. Early on, I was doing very well. Now, I was making more affiliate money. I had more money to spend, but I was doing very good. I could delegate video editing. I could delegate thumbnails. I could delegate blog post writing. And those are all things that I'm capable of doing, but not at scale. When I was doing all of that and I was delegating all of that, I could get 3 to 5 videos done per week. I could get all of those turned into blog posts. I could get all of the thumbnails made there, and all I would have to do is sit down once a week and film the damn videos. Like, that is it. All I do is sit down once a week, film the videos, upload them, and then from that, I've got all these videos and I can spend all of my time working on the other projects that these people can't do. So that has been very helpful to realize, like, hey, what am I the bottleneck on? Like, yeah, I could probably edit that many videos a week, but then I couldn't do the blog posts. I could probably do good thumbnails, that many thumbnails a week, but then I probably couldn't edit the videos, you know? Like, I can only pick one. And so by delegating those tasks out, I can have 3 people working on different areas of the business, and I can just get way more done than I would be able to do alone. And so I'm the bottleneck in a lot of situations. And what I learned is that I think my time's best spent thinking of different ways that I can create better content, that I can create a better engagement with my community. Like, those are the things that I think my time's best spent on. It's like thinking about how to do better, how to grow, how to scale. Like, that is what my time should be spent on. And when I'm spending it editing, and when I'm spending it with like the monotonous tasks that it's easy to delegate to, or tasks that are easy to delegate, you are really shooting yourself in the foot, because you're the visionary, you're the pioneer of your business, you're the visionary. You're like, you should be seeing where you're heading, and you should be making decisions and building systems that help get you there. And if you're stuck working in the business instead of on the business, you're going to be stuck forever. And that's what I learned early on. And so by doing that, it's freed up a lot of time for me to think and for me to focus and prioritize. Now it's kind of shitty where I'm at right now, because I'm not making the same amount of passive income that I can delegate video editors. So videos have kind of really got simplified and slowed down. Now I'm editing them until that money comes back in. But for now, we're just kind of shit out of luck. So when you have the money, delegate it. It's absolutely crucial. But yeah, so those are some of the habits that I've formed over the last 100 days. I do daily check-in videos on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. These are just like long 20-minute videos where I talk about what I did for the day. And then on TikTok, I do daily short check-in videos that show how much money I spent and how much money I made throughout the day. So make sure you guys check those out if you're interested. I'm excited for another 100 days. You know, see what day 200 looks like, day 400, day 500. I'm excited. This is a fun journey to be on.